People often think that success comes from looking out for yourself, that becoming wealthy is about saving what you make and focusing on your own needs above anything else. But Salvadoran immigrant Carlos Castro became a millionaire by doing exactly the opposite. Time and time again, he chose to give back, first to his parents and siblings, then to his wife, and finally to his community. Carlos was born and raised in El Salvador, in a poor but happy family. And he started working at the age of 12 when he looked around and realized that his parents were struggling to support their family of 7.
I actually started working running errands for my neighbors. I would get 2 pennies. Whatever money I could earn, I'd share half of it with my mother so that she could actually, invest in the rest of my siblings.
He says he learned both his work ethic and his propensity to give back from his father, who was as loving as he was hardworking.
He used to say, don't worry about the money, focus in your mission, focus in your task, and the money will follow. We grew up kind of like in the neighborhoods, figuring out who needed help, and we wanted to help. We had very little, but whatever little he had, he shared.
At 13 years old, Carlos began working construction with his father to help support the family, and he kept doing it all the way through college.
Back in the days, construction was hard hand labor. I took it upon myself to make sure that my parents live a better life, that my siblings had enough food on the table. I didn't take that as a bad thing. I actually thought that's what I need to do.
But when the Civil War tore apart his country, Carlos felt he had no choice but to leave.
The war was full-blown, it was a bloody war. There were people on the street that they would kill them and they would take their head and stick them on the fences so that people would know that you cannot join the guerrilla or this is what you get. We could feel the bullets flying above our heads. The situation was unbearable. You could be killed anytime trying to get to work.
He dreamed of moving to the US, but there were obstacles in his path.
Obviously, there was no way that I could get a visa. We were hardworking, but we were poor. So the only way to flee the war was through the borders.
After a 2-week journey, Carlos made it to the border. He was apprehended by immigration and was kept in detention for 45 days in Texas before being sent back to El Salvador.
I used those 45 days to think about my life, to plan about my life, to think about my family, and figure out what's next. And, analyzing everything, I figured that I needed to make it to the other side.
And after trying again, Carlos finally made it to the US. He was one of more than 1 million Salvadorans displaced by what will become a bloody 12-year conflict.
I came pretty much with little money and a lot of faith.
He ended up in DC, where he worked multiple jobs to make ends meet, including as a janitor and a dishwasher.
And I wouldn't do nothing more than stay home. I didn't want to risk being sent back to El Salvador.
He eventually found success as a remodeling contractor, while his wife Gladys was cleaning houses, and eventually they got their green cards. But Carlos wanted more for his wife, so they poured all of their savings into opening a grocery store that she could run.
What we didn't realize is that was kind of like a monster of a business. It's not easy to run a grocery store, particularly if it's successful. I had to make the decision to abandon the construction completely and dedicate my time to help my wife.
Todo's supermarket was more than a grocery store. It became a place for the Hispanic community to find support and seek all sorts of financial advice. And the more it did for its community, the more it grew. Now, Carlos and his wife Gladys are self-made millionaires who own 2 large stores and employ almost 200 people. And their chain has become a landmark for the Latin community in the area.
Most of my management team, it's women, and the majority of them don't have a college degree, but they all have the right attitude. And they all are hard workers, and that's what we bank on.
Even though Carlos grew up with very little, one of his family's core values was helping out the community. Now, he's using his success to continue doing just that.
Life is short. We need to live our life with intensity. We have to love what we do. To be successful, we have to work hard. We have to have faith. As Latinos, being proud of our heritage is not enough. We actually need to make sure that we show that pride by bettering ourselves, by having dreams, and by trying to reach the stars. And I think we are making a difference, and we will continue to make a difference, and we should be proud of that.